Multi-step unit conversion problems. The one we've done so far is just one step. We approach multi-step problems in the same way, but we're going to have 2 or more arrows. We're going to have 2 or more conversion factors. So as an example, let's convert 194 centimeters to feet. So where are we starting? Centimeters. It's trying to enter drawing mode. Come on. Okay, little iPad mini, I really don't need you to be holding everything up right now. I think it's mad because I didn't delete all those videos and it's feeling choked. Okay, centimeters is where we're starting. Oh, it's red this time. What unit are we getting to? Feet. Off the top of your head, do you know a relationship between centimeter and feet? I don't. What do? We can't get there from here. Yeah, we can. It's like jumping across a big river. You need something to go to in the middle. Inches, right? We've done centimeters to inches. There's a relationship, right? It was 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. Do we know a relationship between inches and feet? Sure we do. 1 foot equals 12 inches. So we made a path, a solution map. We decided, okay, we're going to go centimeters to inches to feet. You can imagine Dora chanting that. We're ready to do the equation now. So we're going to take our number of centimeters and start with that, 194 centimeters. We look at our path. Our solution map has 2 arrows. We're going to have 2 fractions. Dora is saying centimeters to inches to feet. And so that's what we're going to write down here. Centimeters to inches to feet. We made a plan, and now we're just following it. Coming up with the path is the hard part. This part is just following a pattern. Now we take this unit and we want to divide by that in the next term because we need it to go away. We want it to cancel out. So we'll put centimeters down there to cancel out that centimeter. We just want to draw a single line. You don't want to scribble it out because you do need to be able to see what's under there. And then what unit do we put down here? Inches. Because we need to cancel that inch out. The only unit left standing is feet, and that's what we were trying to find. So we're good. Now we put in the relationships. Here we have inches on the top and centimeters on the bottom. So we go to the relationship between inches and centimeters, and we take the side with inches, the number and the unit, and put it here. And then the 2.54 went with centimeters, so we'll write that on the bottom where the unit centimeter is. You put the units in first, they tell you where to put the numbers. In the next term, we've got feet on top. It was 1 foot to 12 inches. So 1 foot on top, 12 inches on the bottom. Now it's between you and your calculator. 194 times 1 divided by 2.54 times 1 divided by 12. If you do it in the same order every time, you won't accidentally skip something. 194, I like to skip the times 1, so I just go divide by 2.54. In my head, I think times 1 divided by 12. I'm going to get 6.36. 4829396, blah, blah, blah. The unit is feet. What else do we have to do? Sig figs. So I told you earlier that this relationship is exact. How about this relationship between feet and inches? That's also exact. It's a length in the English system. 1 foot is exactly 12 inches. So these have infinite sig figs. These have infinite sig figs. We're just looking at how many did we start with? 3. So we should end up with 3. We're going to keep the first 3 significant figures, and the one that's being dropped is less than 5. So our answer is 6.36 feet. And then you always want to ask yourself, well, does that make physical sense? Okay, 194 centimeters, that's kind of long, but not like from here to Merced or something, right? So 6.36 feet, yeah, that sounds like it would be about right. Any questions? Yes?
If the relationship wasn't exact, would it be different?
Yeah, if the relationship was not exact, then you have to look at that relationship. So let's pretend that, that this one, the 12 inches and the 1 foot, is not exact. Usually in these relationships, there's one something is equal to something else. So the 1 would be exact. What it's equal to is probably not. So then this would have 2 significant figures, and so we'd have to round this off to 6.4. Okay? And we'll try to get a lot of practice with this, because the way you learn this is like learning to play a new board game or a sport. You start doing it, and you make mistakes, and people say, oh, no, you can't do that. And you're like, oh, okay, I need to do it this way. Yeah, that's right. So you have to practice and make mistakes and get corrected. Any other questions? Here's a problem that might be a little more practical. A recipe calls for 1.2 cups of oil. How many liters of oil is this? Well, what are we starting with? What unit are we starting with? Cups. So we're starting with cups, and we're going to what? Liters. What's the relationship between cups and liters? I don't know. I have a hard enough time with cups and pints and quarts, right? But then we've got English and metric in here. What do? Let's go look in the table of conversion factors of relationships. So let's way back here. There it is. Let's see if we can find something in here that might be useful. So under volume, well, let's see. Here we've got a liter is equal to this many millimeters or cubic centimeters, so that's not really related to a cup. A liter is equal to this many quarts. Oh, well, that's at least English. Could we maybe figure out how many cups are in a quart? Yeah, it's not on this table, but that's something that hopefully is general knowledge, but I wouldn't assume it on an exam. So let's use this one. 1 liter is 1.057 quarts. So I'm going to write this just kind of over here. 1 liter equals 1.057 quarts. So we found that. This tells me that if I could find how many quarts this was, I could use this to go to liters. So I need to get to quarts, and then I can get to liters using this. So I'm kind of working from the end. Well, now we've got cups, and we need to get to quarts. Well, I know there's 2 cups in a pint. So let's put pint in here. 2 cups in a pint. Anybody know the relationship between pints and quarts? There's 4 quarts in a gallon. There's 2 pints in a quart. So 1 quart equals 2 pints. I would not expect you to know those on an exam. So this one's messier, isn't it? We had to think about it and look for stuff and kind of pick our brains, but we finally figured out if we go from cups to pints to quarts to liters, we know the relationship for each step. Not the only way to solve the problem, but it's going to work. So now we've got our path, we just start. 1.2 cups. We look at the solution map. There's 3 arrows. There'll be 3 conversion factors. 1, 2, 3. The map says cups to pints to quarts to liters. Those are the units in that order that we put in here. Cups to pints to quarts to liters. Getting the map is the hard part. Once you figure that out, it tells you what to do. So we wrote those in the top, and then to figure out what goes in the bottom, we just look at the previous unit. We need all these other units to go away. So we're going to take cup, we're going to divide by that in the next term so they cancel out. We need to cancel out pint, so we'll put that in the bottom. Over here we need to cancel out quart, and so we'll put that in the bottom. Until we're left with the unit that we're trying to find. Any questions? Now we can put in numbers. You don't have to do them in order. Sometimes one or the other is easier and one's harder. You could start with easy. Just to be ornery, I'm going to start with the last one. So liters and quarts. This was the relationship that we found. The number 1 is with the unit liter, and so we write the number 1 with the unit liter. We can't put the 1 on the bottom with the quart. It has to stay with the unit that it was with here. 1.057 is with this unit, quart. So then we write 1.057 down there. A lot of these examples have had 1s in the top and numbers in the bottom, but it could be either way. It just depends. Quarts and pints. 1 quart is 2 pints. I have to put 1 quart equals 2 pints. And then here, pints and cups. 2 cups is equal to 1 pint. 2 goes with cups, 1 goes with pint. And I would encourage you, calculation like this, don't write down intermediate values. Just do the whole thing as a string in your calculator and write down the final answer. 1.2 times 1 divided by 2 times 1 divided by 2 times 1 divided by 1.057 equals 0.283822138. And what's the unit? Liters. Now we need to look at significant figures. Quarts to liters, is that an exact conversion? Liters are metric, quarts are English. No. There are a couple, well, I can only think of one. The inches to centimeters is exact, but that's kind of a special one. Most of the time, if you go between metric and English, it's not exact. So we consider the 1 to be exact, but the 1.057 is not exact. So how many significant figures does this number have? 4. So that's 4 sig figs down there. Between quarts and pints, those are both English units of volume, so that's exact. We don't even have to look at it. Oops. Pints and cups, again, within the English system, it will be exact. A pint is defined as 2 cups, so we don't have to look at that. And then we've got this number. How many sig figs in that number? 2. So we got that one, and we got this one. 2 is smaller, so that we're going to keep 2 significant figures, 0.28 liters. Any questions? I think these calculations have been fairly simple. I encourage you to do the actual punching the buttons in on your calculator twice. If you come up with the same answer both times, that's a good sign. If you get 2 different answers, do it a 3rd time and go for best 2 out of 3. Because it's easy to make a mistake, and a lot of your mistakes are random. And when you do it again, you don't make the same mistake. You get a different answer, and that lets you know that you made a mistake. Let's see where we are here. The natives are getting restless, but I have you for 5 more minutes, so just settle down. Here's another one. Multi-step unit conversions. You'll be glad for these examples to look at later. So a running track measures 1,056 feet per lap. To run 15 kilometers, how many laps should you run? And then there's this little aside here, 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. Okay, so this is getting more like the pancakes on the roof problem. Like, oh, wow. Before we just had one number and two units, and now there's all these units and numbers in here. What do? Take a deep breath. Well, we need to sort. We need to sort this out. So one thing you could do is just start by writing the numbers down, making a list of them, including their units. So I've got 1,056 feet per lap. How do you write per something? Per lap, right? Feet per lap, okay? And then we've got this 15 kilometers. Okay, and then we've got this guy. 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. Okay. Did that help? Maybe, maybe not. You may still not be sure what number to start with. Well, maybe we can figure out what we're trying to find. What's the question word? How? How many laps? So we're trying to find laps. That's the end, right? Well, we've got these 3 different things here. The units can help you decide which one you should start with. This is fairly obviously a relationship between 2 units. That looks like something that would make a great conversion factor, doesn't it? Could this be a conversion factor? 15 kilometers. Well, relationship between what? Does it tell us a relationship between other units? It just says 15 kilometers, right? Just a single unit. So that doesn't look like it's going to be promising as a conversion factor. What about this feet per lap? What if we write that as a vertical fraction? What if we write that as 1,056 feet over 1 lap? That's the same thing, right? I just drew it a little differently. That kind of looks like a conversion factor too, doesn't it? It's got a number and it's a relationship between 2 different units. So this has 2 units, this thing has 2 units, this has 1 unit. It's not always going to work out, but like 99.5% of the time, this guy with the single unit is where you're starting. So we're starting with kilometers, and we're trying to get to laps. Do we have a relationship between kilometers and laps? No, we don't. In fact, all we have for kilometers is this guy. So working forward, we're going to be frustrated. Do we have something that relates to laps? Feet. This guy right here, if we knew how many feet, we could use this to figure out the laps. So we could put feet in here. How to get from kilometers to feet. We could look kilometers to miles up in the table. So that's a good idea. Kilometers to miles, and then they gave us miles to feet. It's not the only way to do it, but it's going to work. So, pass it up. So this is telling us 1 kilometer is 0.6214 miles. 0.6214. 0.6214. 0.6214 miles equals 1 kilometer. So my path ended up being all twisty, but that's okay. Kilometers to miles to feet to laps. Very low on time here, so 15.0 kilometers. 3 arrows, 3 conversion factors. Kilometers to miles to feet to laps. Take the previous unit and put it on the bottom so they're going to cancel out. If I'm going too fast, you can slow it down on YouTube. Units are working out. Need the numbers. Well, 1,056 feet per lap. It's easier when we write it like this. 1,056 is with the feet, so 1,056 goes on the bottom. That's 1 lap. 1 mile, 5,280 feet. 5,280 goes with feet, 1 goes with mile. And then 0.6214 miles, 1 kilometer. So 15 times 0.6214 times 5280 divided by 1056 equals 46.605 laps. Quick look at sig figs. This is not exact. It's got 4 sig figs. This is exact. This is not exact, 4 sig figs. But what we're starting with is 3. So then we're going to express this with 3 significant figures, 46.6 laps. Is it reasonable? Yeah, it is. Bye.